Record. Okay, recording started.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and good evening in the Philippines and Asia. How's everybody? We are very glad to have Dennis Ong with us. What?
I'll sneak off for a minute to make a point. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, we're very glad to have Dennis Ong with us, and you're from Manila, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All I remember Manila is the traffic there is phenomenal. Oh,
True.
one time it took us 4 hours to travel from the airport to the hotel on a Friday evening. On a Sunday morning, we took the trip back half an hour.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, but now it's a lot much.
But anyway, yeah. Well, anyway, we are very happy to have Dennis here. And Dennis is different because he started his own business at a very young age. So, well, tell us something about yourself, where you went to school and all that, Dennis.
All right. Again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, as long as it's not good night. So I actually had a degree in architecture. So I studied architecture back in college. And, like everyone else, I actually wanted to, to pursue what I really like doing. I like doing a lot of drawings. I like doing a lot of design. So I ended up taking up architecture just to realize that, after you finish the college degree, architecture doesn't really make a lot of money at the beginning. So, so at that point, me and my friends were basically, most of the time talking about what we can do. So we had a chance actually to start doing a small, small business during holiday season, like in Christmas. So we have initially have a small kiosk in a mall, and we started learning about doing small business during that time, right? So when I get to graduate my college degree, I decided maybe the best thing to do is to pursue an entrepreneurial, direction first instead of pursuing architecture, because financially I think it makes more sense doing business. And I also grew up wherein most of my family members are entrepreneurs. So modeling is very, very strong to me. My grandparents are business people. My parents are also business people. It's just that I do not like the business they're in. So together with friends, we started our own computer retail business. Around 21 years old. So that's a very interesting experience for me to start a business at a young age. Number one, it was fun together with friends. But I think number two, it's really about, as a young person, we feel that there's nothing to lose if you try. Right?
But in that business, don't you have to have an inventory and things like that?
Yeah, we do. In fact, when we started the business, obviously as a very young person, we do not have a lot of capital. So we only have several, like a couple of inventories at a time. So when people try to order some products, and we always, run out and get from the supplier and come back, because we're trying to make ends meet for the business. And, during that time, we were trying to make sure that we could actually get the most out of profit without having to cough out with too much capital for inventory, right? And that's the biggest challenge, I think, for business, is that you're always like, a few dollars away from, from your budget, right? So you're always trying to make sure that everything fits in.
Yeah, that's one thing about running a store. You got to have inventory, and you don't know which part you should buy more until you ran out, most likely.
And also in the computer industry during that time, almost 25 years ago, the parts are expensive. I mean, you don't, not unlike today. Today is a lot cheaper, but back then you cannot really save, put a lot of stocks, because everything is very expensive before. So you only have one of each, making sure that, you have a business that looks like a real business, right?
Mm, mm. So what else did you do?
Actually, when we did that business, it was really quite successful for us. And what we did with my friends, again, we end up expanding into multiple businesses. In fact, I end up, before doing New Skin, I actually end up having 4 businesses I was running, side by side. So I was
Jeez.
literally from I work starting on Monday and I finish my work on Sunday, and the business keep on expanding because fortunately I was doing quite well. But on the hindsight, on the other side, it was taking a lot of my time. So literally, as a young person, at the beginning, I don't mind because money was good. But as I get older, I realized that as my priorities change, as I wanted to have my own family, plan to get married, I realized I do not want the lifestyle that I was actually getting. And that also reminds me of the lifestyle of my parents. My parents are all, and grandparents are all immigrants. So when they came to the Philippines, they literally start from scratch. So back then people have to work very hard because you don't have anything yet, right? And literally we grew up wherein we don't spend a lot of family time together. Every time when you get home early, you could just get your dinner first because everybody's busy doing their own business. So I have this fear that eventually I don't like to have that experience when I have my own family in the future. So I actually had 4 businesses by the time I was 27. So I expanded from the computer business going into the PlayStation. I also distributed PlayStation in Manila, and a couple
Mm.
more business into electronics as well. And so when my friend talked to me about New Skin, I was more interested really with the idea that he was talking about that time was you could set it up for the next 3 to 5 years, as long as if you work hard and if you do it right, the business could actually run on its own. So I was quite curious with that concept, and coming from somebody during that time that's not not that's also quite successful in their business. I was quite interested to know more about the details. As a
So who,
businessman,
who introduced you to New Skin?
actually, my upline, my immediate upline was actually the classmate of Sandy in college in Canada,
I see.
and his name is Fred. So he was my partner in the computer business. So when he was invited by Sandy to join New Skin, I didn't really know that he was doing New Skin because he never told me he was in New Skin. And there's a funny story with that because he knew I was a bit negative type of person, because back then we have a client who walked into our store trying to sell us Herbalife. And they were talking about, you don't have to do anything, you just have to find 5 people and you can just basically make money like that. And I never believed that person. I told Fred that that person is a bit, is not that smart, because nobody could make money doing nothing. So Fred, during that time, never told me he was in New Skin. And up until one time when he invited me to go to a presentation, and I liked the business, and I asked him, how many people have you invited already? And he actually told me that he invited almost everyone that he knows, and I was the last one he decided to bring.
Okay.
Yeah. And I asked him why. And the funny thing is because he told me that he knew I was negative, number one, and number two, he already have no more choice. He doesn't have any more other contacts. He only have me left. So I was.
So when did you start in New Skin?
I started New Skin around February of 1999.
When did New Skin open in the Philippines?
Around 98.
Ah,
Wow.
okay.
It opened around 98. Yeah.
Yeah, we were there when Philippines first opened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, now you were negative about New Skin, right, from the beginning.
I was negative about network marketing, not because it's a scam for me. I was negative because for me it looks like something that my bias during that time was it's probably for somebody who needs the extra money. If you're trying to, if you're a bit, if you don't have a good job, if you don't have enough money you're making, you could go out and do buying and selling. So it's probably good for other people, but it's not good for me. That was the idea I have, because I always think that I have a business, I'm doing well financially. Why would I need to go around, trying to sell people products and trying to convince people to buy stuff? So that was really my concern that time. Not it was illegal, but it was the image, the image of what I experience in network marketing, because I do have friends who work for, who are basically corporate staff for Forever Living.
Oh,
So they were in Forever Living, and they showed me how their meeting works. And during those meeting, I don't know if you have it in the US, but they were in the middle of the meeting, they were keep on shouting like power, or they do that like power, they keep on making you excited in the meeting, and it really turned me off. It's kind of like, you know, I was looking for the facts and the details, but they were never giving those information. They were just trying to motivate you with energy, and that's it. That's their entire business model. You know.
wow.
Mm, mm.
So
So,
how did you change? What made you change?
Actually, the interesting part is, when I attended the presentation, I was looking for. This is the funny thing. I was looking for areas of why the business will not work. So I was quite interested to find out the loopholes, and the I'm trying to look for the holes in the business. As a business person, I'm not interested to see how good it is. I'm trying to see how bad could it be. And because if you're
right,
looking for the bad side,
you're looking for the wrong points in
exactly.
the business.
Exactly. I was looking
Okay,
for the wrong points, because I wanted, like you're defending your thesis with the jury in college. You wanted to make sure that the business have to be foolproof. So we have to be the devil's advocate and try to look for all the bad stuff you can find. So I was quite listening attentively, because I was looking for the holes in the meeting.
Hmm.
mm.
What did you
So
find?
yeah, what changed your mind?
Well, obviously the I didn't find any holes, right? And a lot of the misconceptions, I think, were actually addressed to me properly. And that's, I think, the realization is that, that's why I always tell my team that most people think that people are negative when it comes to network marketing. I always tell people that people are never negative, but a lot of them are misinformed, because I believe that I was just misinformed. I was not truly negative. So when the details was becoming more clear, and I actually get the answers that we're looking for, okay, I became more open-minded, because I believe that everyone, could understand if the business makes sense to them. So um, I was when I was getting the answers, I was getting the details I was looking for, and as a business person, I did the math. If the math makes sense, science and math. If the math makes sense, obviously, the business is going to be real. Now, whether or not we could succeed is another thing, because the business can be real, but whether we could do well or not, that's a totally different situation. But I have to look at the numbers, and I have to look at the law of average. And during that time, when you talk about getting to the top as a blue diamond, you need 12 frontline executives to become blue diamond. And I actually
Hmm.
said, in the Philippines, we have 100 million people during that time. Obviously, now it's a lot more. There's no way that I cannot get 12 good people who can see what I see as far as Newskin is concerned. So I'm very convinced of the fact that there is no way for me to fail, because the numbers are in our favor. In 100 million, you can't go wrong. I mean, if you have a population even of like 50 million, 12 is a very small number, right? You would definitely have 12 people who could actually, understand the entire picture the way you understand it. And my job is just to find out how to do it. So when I realized that the key to doing new skin successfully is to learn how the business works, okay, not rely on luck. Because a lot of people, when they join new skin, I think in their mind was, I won't have to find a few people, maybe they get lucky with friends. I realized that, what, you need to learn how to do it properly. Okay, so you don't really go out, trying to look, trying to just swing your luck. You have to go out finding out how to do it, effectively, and get people to see what you see, right?
Wow. That's very good. Oh, okay. What did you do to help your organization to grow?
I think the most important thing I realized is that New Skin really is a people business. And products, even though how good new skin products are, they don't move by themselves. It's really the people that are moving the products. So I focus on developing the leadership aspect of people. I mean, obviously, the products are fantastic. If you let people try it, a lot of customers would end up really loving to try it out, to buy the products. But the focus on getting people to see the bigger picture, okay, has to go beyond products, right? Because if people
Mm-hmm.
just see products, I always say that that's the low hanging fruit, right? The products are the low hanging fruit. It's nice, you can make good profit, but if you never see beyond the products, you don't have a long term idea of what the business can do for you. So I always first start with looking for people that wanted something bigger than just making short-term income. I mean, nothing wrong with short-term income, but we're investing our time. So I want to make sure that we invest with people that would also want to see, you know, the long-term aspect. So first, I identify who they are, and number two, I always make sure that I develop the accountability. When we work with leaders, the first thing I think that all leaders would need to have is an accountability to their own business. People will never succeed if they always think that the business is somebody else's. So first and foremost, I always make sure that people understand that it is their business, okay, and we're here to help them get the result that they want. So once accountability is there, the second thing is, I think very critical is for people to really understand the business plan. A lot of times when people, look at New Skin, very few people. I don't know if it's the same thing, maybe in your experience, that not a lot of people try to understand the compensation plan very well. so so I always say that if you don't understand the compensation plan, you don't really you cannot get excited because you don't see the bigger picture. So I do make sure that part of the enrollment process, I make sure that people in the team understand how they get rewarded for their effort and where they get rewarded the most. So, you get rewarded by retail, you get rewarded by building your team, and you also get rewarded by developing leaders. So I always say that all three are good, depend on what you want. And once you decided on what you want, we have to focus on what we need to do. So most people like to get the bigger income. So I would say that there's no choice, but we need to, number one, develop leadership, and number two, okay, need to be able to look for other people and help them develop their leadership skills as well. And leadership is a very broad. It's a word that's being used around a lot, but it's very broad. It's a lot of things all in one box. Accountability is one of them, but I think being able to be creative in solving problem is another. A lot of times that when people always ask me, their questions about the business, I realize that most people have the answers, but they don't really try to think about it or to be resourceful enough for them to come out with their own answers. So I always want to make sure that when I work with my leaders, I always ask them, I throw it back to them. I want to make sure they understand, or I understand where they're coming from, so that they understand how to solve their own problem in the future, right? So the biggest mistake I think when you're working with leaders is try to give them all the answers every time they ask you the question, right? If they ask you one question, you give them the answer. Okay? I think that's very easy because it doesn't take a lot of effort. But I think if you want to really grow leaders, you want to make sure that when people ask you questions, you throw it back to them for them to actually find out for themselves. And that's how I grow the team, because I want to make sure that if you develop the leaders will be in charge on getting the team getting bigger. you know I mean, we always have a saying that if you want to build an army, you need to recruit the generals first. If you don't have a general, okay, you're not going to have an army. you know so yeah.
Wow. Good one.
Okay, you want to ask the next question?
Given that you have experience, what does a distributor need to keep in mind when doing the new skin business?
Yeah. I think
Example. Yeah, go ahead.
for new distributors, this is the most important thing is that they should not sell themselves short, because a lot of times people, when they're very very new, they don't give themselves enough time to succeed, right? They always say, I tried it for a couple of weeks, it didn't work, so maybe it's not for me. So I always feel that people give up too soon for themselves, right? And probably because a lot of times when people do network marketing or new skin, especially at the beginning, they don't have, again, the ownership and accountability. They always think that they're doing it for somebody else, they're doing it for you, or they're doing it because of the products. And that's why they give up very easily. So when people they know their goals, they are accountable to their own success. I always tell them, before we begin, I always have like a verbal contract. I always say that, I always ask them, how long would you give yourself? How much time are you willing to give yourself to become successful? Because if you can stay for if you cannot stay for more than at least 2 years, okay, you won't be able to understand the business to the point that you could really do very well. So from the get-go, before I even do any training, I always want to make sure that we have an agreement that you're going to be doing this business for the next 2 years, whatever happens. So of
Yeah,
course, yeah, I always
that's the problem. The problem with our business. It's easy to come in,
yeah.
just as easy to get out.
The capital is not, unlike traditional business. When you put in like $1 million or $2 million, you're not going to be able to sleep until you get your money back, right? So
Right. You
you
fight
need
to the end.
yeah
But
you
here, you just bought some products and no, no big deal. I lost
yeah.
that money. So
I mean,
that's why a lot of people don't see, what this business can do for them. It's just unfortunate.
yeah. And that's the thing. In fact, that in my mind, that's why I always say that 9 out of 10 people will come into New Skin having that type of frame of mind. So how do I now approach the person to make sure that the person understands that this is basically a business that he needs to give himself enough time? Because we know for a fact that 9 out of 10 or maybe 8 out of 10 people have that short-sightedness. So I do make sure that people I help people identify what they really want to get out of the business and how serious are they from that. And second is locked in. How long are they willing to give themselves the chance to become successful? And if they give me like, what, I'll try it for 2 weeks, 2 months, or even 6 months, I always tell them, 6 months is not enough for you to be able to get what you want. I mean, you wanted to get the goals this big and you're willing to give yourself 6 months. I mean, you don't get promoted to become a vice president working in a job for 6 months, right? So I let people realize that, whatever they wanted, they have to be willing to put in a certain amount of commitment. And as much as possible, we need to establish that first before I move, because I'm trying to look at, you know, um, how committed will this person be on his own success? Because I don't want to waste his time. I also don't want to waste my time. So on the beginning, I want to make sure that he knows what he's getting into, right? So it's just kind of like
Yeah.
be more upfront. Just be more upfront with people. As long as we have the real intent to really help the person within our heart, we're not just here to convince them and basically get them to buy something. We're in for the long haul, so we know that. So
Hmm.
I'm very very upfront and letting people know that this is what they need to do in order for them to succeed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what effects does COVID-19 have on your business?
Well, COVID-19, yeah, I mean, if maybe I'll start with if you're in a traditional business, like most of our family members are, if they could just have a position wherein they're not making money but they're not losing money, they're already very happy about it, right? I mean, that's why they always say that 2020 is a year, you don't talk about making profit, you're talking about surviving, right? And yeah, I think globally it's the same thing. And I think the most exciting thing about with New Skin is that even before COVID-19 happened in 2020, the company actually had the foresight like 4 years ago, or around 2016, 2015, started to do some experiment, moving products online on Facebook and Instagram, right? And it's kind of like we have a 4 to 5 year head start of learning how the internet and e-commerce would work synergistically with our business. So when COVID-19 hit, we already know what to do. And I think the most
Mm.
important thing is that structurally, New Skin have the infrastructure to be able to do deliveries and be able to do transactions and purchases online, right? A lot of people, I've seen other companies in network marketing. They also try to do their products online right now because you can't have group meetings. But unfortunately, their company cannot do the online purchase transaction and these things, right? It's the system needed is very complex, right? New Skin has this, system, has these computers, have these networks that already makes it very convenient for distributors to run its business. This is something that a lot of people fail to appreciate, that it's not easy to set up a business that has that type of operation, especially when you're talking about transactions internationally, clients buying in the US, in Europe, and having your income paid in Manila. Those are unheard of in the realm of traditional business. So I really, really appreciate and very grateful for New Skin for really doing something that is out of the box. And yeah, we're growing tremendously. And like everyone else, I think more than ever, New Skin products are very popular because online, suddenly everybody moved the New Skin product. So we're more, focused on helping people to develop their organization. So moving products is not the end goal. Okay, it's part of the business, but the end goal is how do we now develop leaders using the online platform to be able to continue develop people along the way. So it's been fantastic for the cup for the last close to 2 years already. And I think moving forward, the online strategy will become more and more significant, right? And right now, it's very bad that a lot of people lost their job, but at the same time, it's a wake up call that people get to realize that you cannot really put all your eggs in one basket, right? You really need to make sure that you have to have a plan B. And the best time to start a plan B is not when you need it, really is when you're still very capable. Okay, I always say that in New Skin, you could do this business in two ways. You could join the business when you're desperate, or you could actually join the business because you want preparation. Preparation meaning you're doing very well, but you wanted something better for your future. And I think that is one of the best way to come into the business because you're coming in from with a position of strength. You're not here to convince people, but you're here to let people really know that there's a better option, right?
Mhm.
So, so I think right now the pandemic opened a lot of mind for a lot of people, especially for the Gen Z. A lot of the young people right now. I read an article that there's a movement called the FIRE movement. I don't know if you've heard about that. FIRE,
No?
FIRE. It's called the Financial Independence Retire Early movement. It's very,
Oh,
very popular in the US. And a lot of people there are mostly the Gen Z generation, and probably a little bit of the late stage millennials, wherein they wanted a lifestyle wherein they could actually be in the beach while they're working online. They called it the nomads, like they do their computer, they do their business, but they're basically in front of the beach, right? They're not in the office. And I find that one of the things that a lot of the young people do understand right now because the situation is that they become more aware that corporate life, even though you work very hard, okay, it doesn't really, it might not really get you where you want to be. It probably could give you what you need on a daily basis, but it's not be able to get you the lifestyle that you want. So this fire movement really is kind of like making people realize that you could actually get your financial independence early on if you have the right strategy and if you're willing to work hard. 5 to 10 years is a very long amount of time. It's enough time for you to be able to do that. And when I actually look at that article, I realized that new skin really is what people are looking for. They might not know it yet, okay? But at the end of the day, new skin was, I think, the pioneer of the FIRE movement. If you're willing to work hard for the first 3 to 5 years, okay, set the business up properly, wherein eventually your business can get converted into an asset. So eventually, once the asset is running, aggressively, and you have a lot of leaders who don't really need you to monitor them every day, then technically you have the ability to generate income without having to be physically present all the time. And I think that's the most, for me, that's the fruit that I was talking about, that I saw in New Skin. The retail products are good, but for me, those are the lower hanging fruits. If you want to go for the big stuff, you have to go for the for the higher fruits.
Wow. Excellent. Okay.
Well, what kind of effect did COVID-19 on conventional business? It must hurt them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, I always share to my team that 2020 was a time that small and medium enterprises who don't have enough capital get shut down. Most of the major companies didn't really do anything much in 2020 because they're waiting for the vaccine news. But early 2021, we actually have Shangri-La, Makati closing already, temporarily. Obviously, they're not sure when they're gonna open. We have Philippine Airline, one of the biggest airlines in Asia, removing almost 35% of their employees. So in
Wow.
2021, we could see a lot of the bigger companies removing employees already, because by now bigger companies already know what the vaccine could really do, and they could already, for them to be profitable, they need to start removing a lot of the excess liabilities they have. And I think the biggest liability for any business would definitely be employee salary. So you could be a good employee, but unfortunately, if the company is going red, they really have no choice but to really take people out, right? And that's the part that I think what's going to happen in 2021 is that most of the major bigger companies, they start laying off people so they can get back to being profitable, because if their staff is already skeleton staff, they can start becoming profitable this year, and their stock price could start going up a little bit more, because in the Philippines the stock market is really, really quite still not that bad, but it's not very high yet. Unlike in the US, I believe it's quite it's very high already, right? Yeah. So I think in traditional business, if the business doesn't have any strategy to transition to go online, the next 6 months or 1 year, it's going to be very difficult. Probably they wouldn't last that long. I think most businesses who does not have a strategy to transfer online, they're not going to be existing anymore after a year. They're all going to be gone. They cannot make a profit. That's for sure. Right?
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. As a Gen Z entrepreneur, what has New Skin brought you that's most satisfying?
Um, when I actually started doing New Skin, like everyone else, we wanted the aspect of financial freedom. So obviously, you do business primarily for the finances, right? So just being upfront, I like the idea of making bigger income than my traditional business. But I realized one thing is, as I get closer to the success level I want, okay, the business will do something to you. It actually changes your attitude and let you focus more on the real stuff. And you realize that when you become successful, it's really about you influencing people to get a better quality of life for themselves. That's more rewarding. So as a young person, it's going to be quite rewarding financially. That's gonna, obviously financial success, you have to have the finances. But more than that, you'll be able to achieve significance wherein you could actually impact more people than you could ever imagine. I mean, in my old business, the only way I could impact is I could help employees, but I could never make employees to be the owner like me, right? There's no way for me to do that. But this situation is that you could actually help people to achieve the same level of success that you have, and you will feel very happy for them, because the New Skin compensation plan is a win-win. right? Win-win, it means that whatever accomplishment that your upline can achieve, the downline can also get the same thing, right? It's not like, as an employee, you can never make the same amount of money as your boss. But here, if you work the same way, as hard or even harder than your sponsor, you could actually create more success than your sponsor, right? And for me, that is really the what you call this, the the best thing, because you don't limit people in New Skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in a corporate job or maybe in traditional business, a person could be limited because they lack money or they lack influence. But in New Skin, you could always work harder than other people, and you could actually create more success than other people, right? So, significance is very, very important, because you start seeing people's life gets better because of you, right? So, and one of the things I always say, that it's also transcending, which means that, if you are somebody who wants to take care of your family, I always say that New Skin is one of the best business you could work on, because you could transfer that to your next generation. You could inherit that business as a legacy. Wherein, in a job, I mean, you could be the best person you could be the best CEO, but the moment you retire from the company, the 40 years that you invested in that position will now all go back to the company, right? And you get rewarded with a watch, like a golden watch. But after that, you go home, and you don't have anything for your kids. Like, I grew up where, in one of the philosophies that my grandparents always tell us, that you want to really do your own business. And the reason, whether it's something very successful or a bit mediocre, but the most important thing is that the time you invested in that business will forever be yours. So when you decided to transfer a business, whether it's small or big, your family gets to benefit from the hard work you did, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So in New Skin, it's the same thing. We actually have a lot of second generation, leaders, wherein their business was started by their parents, and right now their children are basically running the business, and growing the success more bigger, right? But I think most important thing is, um, basically, it's a legacy that you could hand down to the next generation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So times, yeah, that's one of those things that I really, really appreciate about New Skin, is that, it's something that you could leave behind for the next generation.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's very true. I mean, being a CEO, you build the company up. By the time you retire, the organization doesn't go with you.
Yeah, actually,
You're done.
in a company, sometimes if the company deems you to be quite expensive, they would sometimes, especially if they have like these corporate meetings, they would sometimes even vote you out. Okay, you know in a corporate, sometimes stock meetings, right? They do that, right? But like in my case also, yeah, our family business, because none of us like the business that my parents are doing. So, we didn't really like the industry they're in. So nobody likes to follow in the footstep. But with New Skin, even if, let's say, my daughter doesn't like New Skin, but she gets the commissions every month, I don't think she wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Wow.
That's true. That's true. Well, also, new skin is really, it's a life improvement process, right? I
True.
mean, we are improving the lives of a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think in New Skin, the most important thing is that you cannot fake your success in New Skin, because you need to become a certain type of person for you to be able to succeed. There's no way that you could succeed and greedy at the same time in New Skin. There's really no way. So the New Skin business will really force you to become the best version of yourself, because you need to start helping people. So at the end of the day, when you succeed in New Skin, I think the best reward is that you become a better person for yourself. And when you become a better person for yourself, you also become a better person for your family. So those are the
Hmm.
intangible things that comes along with the business. So, on the latter part, you realize that, although money is good, but, at the end of the day, when you have enough money, it's really those things that will matter more, right? The relationships that you have, the quality of people that you surround with, okay?
Right.
And so the
Well,
type, yeah,
yeah, precisely. We have so many leaders spread out all over the world. guys like you and then Sandy and Ria. Oh, it's good to have you guys on our team. It's really very satisfying. And JP,
So much. We learned so much from you and Marguerite. We're very thankful for all your leadership and guidance. I remember the first time I met Marguerite. When you were in the Philippines, we were actually having lunch in Shangri-La.
Okay.
mhm,
Yeah,
Wow.
and the topic I still remember. You were focused on, you're talking about goal settings and why it's important to really, get the person's why.
Uh-huh.
And during that time, I was quite new, so I don't understand the importance of the why. So I keep on asking the how. So I keep on asking the wrong question. So you keep pointing me back to the why. So as I work on the business, I realized that of course, even though knowing the how is important, but that's secondary because the most important thing is the person should need to know why they have to do New Skin first. Then the
right,
how will actually have value because the
right,
how will not matter if the person doesn't know why.
yeah.
I always remember Marguerite for sharing that.
Oh,
If you understand your why, you know, half the job is done actually. If you
Yeah.
look at that, if you understand that, seriously, yes, yes, very good, very good. So now that you've been in news in 20 some years, can you imagine what would have happened if you didn't go into New Skin? If you're still running your computer business?
I probably have lost a lot of my hair. Probably that's the first thing. Stress is going to be my twin brother. Because our family used to be running traditional business already. So we import food products from China like chestnuts.
oh.
So
Oh,
so that's my business for my grandfather. So we used to doing that already. So the stress is there, the problems with people are going to be there. um, I wouldn't basically have the freedom. I wouldn't be able to spend most of my time with my daughter because um, I was married for 10 years together with Angie before we actually have a daughter. And it was not easy for us because people who know us knew that we were actually trying for many years. And we actually have three IVFs, in vitro fertilization sessions, one in Singapore, one in Manila, and the one that succeeded was in Taiwan, in
wow.
Taichung,
Okay.
Taichung, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I think the best thing that I got from New Skin that I will never ever get if I actually remained in my traditional business is the quality of time I had with my daughter. Because when I had my daughter in 2010, Angie technically is full time with her. So from the time that she was born up to today, she was 10 years old. Um, you know, she really my daughter gets to appreciate the time that she gets to spend with both of her parents. In fact, the funny thing is sometimes when we pick her up in school, and we always do it together. But if let's say it's me picking her up alone or Angie picking her up alone, the first thing that my daughter would ask is, "Where's dad?" or "Where's mom?" So for my daughter, but if any one of us is not there, that is unusual.
right.
Mm.
For other people, if both parents are there, that is the unusual thing for them, right? Because they're used to having their parents not around all the time.
Mm.
So
I
so
think they normally would have a maid to pick them up, right?
yes. So that's probably the lifestyle that I would have because most traditional business people in the Philippines, they have people to do those stuff. So at the end of the day, the quality of the life would definitely not be the same. You know. So I think that's the most important thing.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, you really don't realize it until you get into that situation. You get to pick up your
Yeah.
daughter anytime you want, and both of
Most
you
most
get
people
to
will
do that.
never know because they will never know what they lost because they never experience it, right? But when you have a chance to be there all the time to support morally, especially anytime your children have questions, you're the first person that could answer them. It's not their friends who would give them some funny answers sometime. So the friends giving them advices that are a bit not on the right thing. So you're always going to be guiding your kids to make sure that they grow up to be to have the best type of
Mm.
personality as well.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow. That's
That's
very,
very good. Very good. Very good.
so your word of wisdom for newcomers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is you have to really know why you're doing new skin, because when people tell you that new skin is going to be easy, let me just be upfront. Okay, it's not difficult. Okay, it's not easy, but it is simple. And simple basically means that, you know what, it can be done. You easily can learn how to do it, but you also need to take time to learn to do it properly, right? So, um, you know, um, I always say that this business, okay, some people might tell me, I have my downline sometimes tell me, Dennis, it's a very difficult business, right? And I always just give them this scenario that if you want to have a goal of being able to retire and enjoy your life with your family, okay, among all the things that you can do that's difficult, this is the easiest already. Because if you don't do this, the next option is that you need to make a lot of money in your job and basically buy a lot of properties and basically rent it out. That's a lot more difficult to do, right? I mean, most people spend their lifetime working and, can't even do that. So in New Skin, you could say it's difficult, right? That's the impression. But among the difficult things for me, New Skin is already the easiest. It's already the simplest that you can do to actually get you the result on the shortest amount of time, right? So the key is that you have to know what you want, and number two, okay, be proactive in learning. I think a lot of times, when we learn from our sponsors, when they do the training, we listen to them, but we listen to them like a entertainment. We like the information, we learn a lot. It's kind of like very entertaining, very informative. I always say that for you to be able to get the most out of a training is that you need to put on the hat and thinking that you'll be the one doing the training in the future. So you don't listen as an audience, you basically listen as a trainer in the future. So when you listen to the information, you listen to it on a very different level. You're listening it for training rather than you're listening it just to absorb, right? Because you'll be able to the meaning of the meat of the training will be a bit different when you're trying to prepare a training for yourself in the future, right? So always see yourself as take initiative. It doesn't really matter when you do some mistake along the way. In fact, let me share you my tip that I did that I think probably one of the best things I did in New Skin. Like everyone else, we actually have people saying no to the products or even no to the business. And instead of just complaining and feeling bad about it, I would wear a very big smile and I would ask my friend, you know what? I appreciate your so being upfront. Can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Because I would like to know what is it the reason why you feel you do not want to buy the products? Or what probably would be the reason that you feel that you don't like to do the business? Now, I'm very clear that I'm not here to convince the person to join. So I'll tell the person, you know what, I'm not here to convince you, right? As a friend, I just want to get some feedback. Can you tell me why, okay, you don't find this business as very interesting? And if you actually take the time to ask that question, you realize that people would actually give you pointers, give you feedback on how your business presentation was, on how, I remembered a downline who applied this training to her organization. And one of her downline asked the client, because the client was trying to sell a product, and the customer, instead of buying from her, bought it from another person, right? So this distributor then asked, why did you buy from other people? And the response was very interesting. What the client said was, because you were actually, sending me with so much information and messages that you were already flooding me. So it's kind of like, oh, finally I get it, like you were already like, pushing the product too much. So because he got that feedback from the client, okay, he tell the client, thank you very much, I appreciate that. And obviously because of that interchange, that distributor will now able to learn not to do the same thing with other people anymore in the future. So I always say, never let a good mistake go to waste. Never let a good mistake go to waste, because for me those mistakes are actually the valuable things that you can learn. You cannot learn so much when you do things right, but you can learn a lot when you do things wrong, right? That's why I always appreciate all the challenges that came into my business, because that's where I believe that I grew the most. So I
Hmm.
think that's the most important thing for a lot of new people, right? Is every time you get a mistake, every time you didn't get the result that you want, you say, thank you very much. What can I learn? What is this experience teaching me right now?
Yeah. Well, actually, we have to ask ourselves, when our upline first introduced us to New Skin, what did you do? Did you accept it right away? No. You normally, no, not interested. Why you're not interested? I don't know. I'm just not interested. Is it the product? Is it the company? Is it the plan? All of the above.
Yeah.
No. So, you need to find out, look, what are you objecting to?
Yeah.
Have you tried the products? Why the products are so bad or so good? You don't even know what the product's all about.
Yeah.
And the plan, can get very lucrative. Do you understand the plan at all? And the company's around 30, 4, 5 years. It's not going to go disappear on you. When we first joined, yes, it's only 4 years old. It's a lot riskier.
I believe New Skin is an institution already. So people coming into this business right now definitely is coming in with more solid footing, that you are coming into a company that's already very established. The company already have a very good reputation, very recognized globally. So it's kind of like you already have all the stars aligning. All you need to do is
Right,
just work, right?
right. That's why I find it interesting. People just say no without finding out more about what we do. All they think about is MLM. It's a scam.
See,
Okay.
I always have people sometimes tell me before, yeah, because I don't like network marketing, right? So I always ask them back, what is it about this industry that you don't like? And I normally find out, I normally get to find out that they actually had an experience maybe with another company, or probably have some relatives who actually have some encounter. So for me, it's not really that they're negative about New Skin or network marketing. They're basically negative about an experience. It's kind of like if I ate at a restaurant and the traitor and the waiter treated me badly. It's not that the restaurant is bad. It's just the waiter didn't treat me well. So once people recognize it's a subjective one-time incident, isolated incident, sometimes they become more open. But then again, it's really depend on the timing. That's why
Yeah.
I always ask questions and try to recognize where the person is coming from, and whether the person have could be somebody that I need to build relationship further, because maybe the person doesn't trust me more, or trust me yet, or probably maybe now was not the right time, and we'll just basically keep in touch for the next 6 months. So it really depends on the feedback that we get.
Yeah. Man, we've been in this business for 30 some years, and it's a great business. I can't complain about it.
I mean, if people can complain about New Skin, they probably need to try traditional business and tell us what when sometimes people tell me, what, I don't like New Skin. I will tell them, well, it's okay. I wish you succeed in whatever you do, and tell me all about your story. I would tell them 5 years from now, tell me your success. I wish you well. I want to hear your success, right? Because truth be told, if you want to succeed in any field, traditional business or in New Skin, you definitely have to go to a lot of challenges. And if we see each other 5 years from now, okay, it's going to be, then they realize what traditional business success would really mean, right? And they would say that New Skin is actually a blessing already.
Yeah. Well, traditional business, you're always highly competitive. You try to push the other guy around, get rid of him. Here,
Yeah.
you turn it around. You help your
Yeah.
people to grow. There's something very, very unusual.
It's the design. I always say that traditional business, you're designed to really kill competitors. You're supposed to be competitive because the only way for you to do well is to outcompete your other people, right? You
Yeah,
have to destroy their business for you to be able to stay alive. It's like a dog eat dog. But in New
right.
Skin, okay, you're basically doing cooperation. You need to be able to cooperate for you to actually grow. In fact, if you become too competitive in New Skin, okay, you won't actually get the best result that you want. So for me, New Skin is really a business wherein you have to be cooperative, you have to be helping each other out. So when you actually, help more people, then you realize that the result would actually be much bigger, okay, than, it's
Yes.
like synergy. Instead of 1 + 1 = 2, when you help each other out, you get 1 + 1 = 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
there's a question to ask. Someone said, Lita said, how about when they complain about the price?
Yep, yep. I mean, probably the most question that people would normally say is that, new skin is expensive. You know, not much of new skin is a scam, right? Because new skin is a good reputation, high quality products, but normally people might say new skin products are expensive. I think the most important thing before I go into my response is that I always look at value. Okay, because when you look at price, you might be looking at the wrong thing. I always say new skin is not expensive, nor and it's not cheap. For me, it's really value for money. And when you actually buy something, you're not paying for the product. You're supposed to be paying for the results, right?
Right.
So for me, when people say, you know what, this product is expensive, I always say compared to what? Because for me, you cannot say grapes are expensive because bananas are cheap, because both of them are both fruits. It cannot be. For you to be able to say that grapes are expensive is because you found another supplier of the same grapes but a lot cheaper. For example, like iPhone, I give if iPhone was, let's say, $1,000, right? The only way you could say that iPhone is expensive if you found the same model selling for $500. Then this model will be expensive because it's the same product, right? But if, let's say, you're comparing an iPhone with $1,000 and maybe with a what you call this, with a Cherry Mobile. I don't know if you have that in the US, like a China-made phone for like $50. You can
Mm.
say that iPhone is expensive because the other phone is $50. Normally, because it's two different products.
Right.
So I always ask them, when people say it's expensive, I always ask them compared to what? Compared to what? So at the end of the day, they'll tell me because it's like 1,000, like it's like $300 or $400. They always focus on the price. Then I always ask them, well, would you like to be able? Okay, would you know of a same product similar to what we have in New Skin, but sold at a cheaper price? Because for you to be able to say that this is expensive, you probably saw something that's cheaper, right? And normally they cannot answer. Then I always throw it back. I always ask them, by the way, how many times have you ever tell yourself that you like to buy products but it's too expensive? Have you ever thought about buying that Louis Vuitton bag, or ever thought about buying that Chanel, but you always say it's too expensive? So why don't we help you find ways to make more money, so that you could actually now get this good quality product. You don't you can you start you won't start complaining about being expensive, but you can now be able to buy these products. So I always focus on people like, why don't we help you make more money so things become more affordable? Because the issue is not about price of the product. The issue is about they don't have the budget. Okay? So making the products cheaper won't really help the person long term. So why don't I help you make more money, so that you don't have to worry about price anymore in
Right.
the future. So I switch them
Good
back.
point.
Switch
Good
them
point.
back into the business. Yeah.
I love your answer. Really good. Really good. Okay. And anybody has any questions? This is actually good question time. So anything you wish to add?
um, have fun. I remembered, when I did the business on the first 2 years. I, like everyone else, we encounter, all the things that we should be encountering, right? But the business was actually quite fun because, number one, I work with people that I enjoy hanging around. That's, I think, one of the bonus of the business. You hang around with friends, especially during the time that we're not locked down. We were meeting friends like 2 or 3 times in a week, and we were basically having dinner every evening after meeting. So we were looking forward. Yeah, we were looking forward, for the social aspect of the business, and we enjoyed so much. And I remembered also getting a chance to listen to Joseph, and Joseph is a very funny guy, and I always say that, I like to be like, like him, wherein he could do the business and basically, laugh all the time, because, Joseph, when he's a bit drinking, he's always laughing, right? So, so, you know, so we always try to get Joseph drink a lot, right? But
Well,
that's
two things with Joseph. Give him a beer and take him fishing. He'll come.
we don't have a good fishing ground in the Philippines, so we only give him something to drink all the time. So I mean, if you have fun, it takes away, don't be too serious about the business itself. I mean, if the challenges are going to be the same, whether you're too serious or you're if you have fun, okay, the learnings, it's a lot easier, right? Because you're having fun learning it versus imagine trying to study in school, you're not enjoying it, you're pressured because you want to pass an examination. You don't enjoy the time that you're studying at home, right? Because you're so afraid of failing. But when you enjoy it, it's a lot easier to go with the flow. Doesn't mean that when you enjoy, you will succeed the next week. No. It means that, number one, you make the entire experience better for you. And if we enjoy the experience, we normally last longer. We normally do it longer. That's why I always put myself in a position that I need to make myself, enjoy what I'm doing. I look for the things that makes me enjoy it, because that will make me feel good. And that feeling would make me also last in the business longer. So I am very intentional, right? I mean, our mind can work both ways. You could always intentionally look for the good stuff, or you could intentionally look for the bad stuff. So I always train myself, intentionally look for the good stuff that I could actually apply and tell myself, this is actually enjoyable, right? And that makes the entire business very, very light. Even though you're not making money, it's very, very light.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true. I think at this point, I don't think you have to worry too much about money anymore. I think you have to worry about leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
Right?
That I think would be, I mean, like I said, when people succeed, they always say that when you get to the top of the mountain, you see a lot more things that people can see when they're at the bottom of the mountain. You get to appreciate a lot more what the opportunity really is, because it goes beyond it moves beyond financial. It really is all
Right.
about able to to impact other people, whether it's your own family, friends, even society. I've seen people who give back, especially with the calamities we have in our country for the past year, with the typhoons and volcano exploding. If you have a lot more, you could always give more. And those things, for me, it's a privilege if you could actually do that and help other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. 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 Marguerite, do you see any questions?
No, there's no one. No, everybody's very happy today. They all absorbed it in, and then they could go out. Anybody, any questions? I guess not. It's okay.
He answered all the questions already.
Yeah, he got all the answers. Wow.
I
Thank
would say that when we go out and do the business, if you do it properly, the reality is that you will end up having more questions when you do it right. Because when you do things right, you encounter a lot of things, right? And you encounter a lot of experiences, so you come back with a lot more questions to your upline. if I always play with my partners. I always ask them, so how was your first week, or how was your second week? If everybody tells me no problem, then I say we have a big problem. Because if you don't have any problem in the first 2 weeks, it means that you didn't go out and do anything. That's why it's no problem, right? Because if you really work on the first 2 weeks, I expect you to have some problems that we can talk about, right? So that's the that's the funny thing about New Skin, no? So when people tell me they don't have problems, I'm very afraid.
Uh-oh. Okay. So, all right, guys, no questions. If no questions, there's a problem. Yeah. Wow.
Well, you can control the panel a little bit better than I can.
Okay. So you want me to stop recording first?
Yeah, stop recording.
Okay. So with
Now
everyone.
we can talk more freely.
Hold on. Stop recording first.